being with the people directly gives you a lot of human experience that you will carry forever. Hindi lahat ng desisyon ay popular at hindi lahat ng popular na desisyon ay tama. Stop trying to convince the people who's canceling you out, and if they bash you, sagutin mo na lang ng I love you.
Hello, kamusta kayo? Sa episode na to, makakasama natin ang ama ng Valenzuela. Tara, samahan niyo akong makinig ng mga straightforward na payo mula kay Ninong Rex Gatchalian. Ninong, isa po kayong role model sa mga kabataan. Bago kayo naging public servant, sino-sino po yung mga naging role models po ninyo?
Well, una, let me just thank you for inviting me to your vlog. Natatawa ako pa rin doon sa when you call me Ninong eh. But that's the whole creativity of it, I think. So I'd like to congratulate you for coming up with such a great niche topic for your vlog.
Thank you po.
When I started kasi, I started very young. I started ng public service when I was 25 years old. I sat as congressman ng 28, so I was parang fifth youngest then. So when you're at that age in public service, you emulate a whole lot of people. Personally, syempre lahat naman tayo, you look up to your parents kasi sa bahay yun ang kinagisnan mo. No? My dad, even up to now, his tenacity to get things done, he never relents eh. To a point na may kakulitan na nga. Idol ko siya doon, yung never give up motto. Never say die. Wow. My mom, I emulate her or a role model siya because of her patience. No? My parents are both unique. One is sobrang kulit, yung tenacity, yung go-getter. The other one is very mas calm and mas chill siya. So they are both my, how do I put it, idols in the different spectrum of your character. Now, in public service though, like I said nga, I started very young, so marami akong idol na na-emulate. I like very strong and determined people. I like leaders who make a choice and make a decision fast and decisively. Ako, I like the likes of Lee Kuan Yew, Mahathir, Suharto. Alam ko sasabihin mo, lahat yung dictator mayor. They're strong men. And I really believe in leadership na strong. Locally, I'm a big fan of PGNA, President Garen in the sense that, number one, I've worked with her as congressman noon and as portion ng mayor, and after now, I still see her socially. I like her work ethic. Kind of reminds me of my dad's work ethic. Yung talagang sige lang na sige till matapos mo. I like her sense of being very decisive, and I like her sense of being a very strong leader. So yan yung mga things that I like to emulate when one day I go up higher, hopefully, in this realm.
Sa mga sinabi niyo po, magulang niyo and yung mga idols niyo, ano yung mga best advices na nakuha niyo from them na nag-shape up sa pagiging leader niyo and as a person?
Yung sa parents, sa dad ko lagi, hindi man niya sinasabi, but I have so many experiences with him in business when I was still in the private sector, working for the family business, and in politics na hindi yan, my dad naman, hindi siya yung the type na nagkukwento sa'yo eh. It's more of you see what he's doing eh. So I guess that it's example, it's emulating by example. Siya talaga never say die eh. Yung tipong last 2 minutes na lang habang the clock is still running, try to get it done. At least you tried. No? Hindi sumusuko. 2, kay GMA naman, you know, I've interacted with her a whole bunch of times. And there's one thing that that strikes me even up to this day na I'm not sure if a lot of people see it. Yes, she's very strong as a leader. Yes, she's very decisive as a leader. But meron siyang sense of, she's a very prayerful woman. The reason why I said that, she once told me an advice that stuck to my head. She told me once na in public, I asked her, parang, how do you know when it's time to go up the political ladder? I'm not sure if you'll remember this, but she said one thing. She said, do your job, do it well. But there's an element of leaving it to destiny or to God. Ang konteksto doon, nagtanong ata kami ng kapatid ko ni Senator Sherwin, na nung nagpa-plan si Sherwin mag-senador, na when do you plan for things and when do you know that it's destiny or God's will? And she said, you try to plan it as much as you can when you are early in your career, like when you're mayor, when you're congressman, you build your resume, you build your portfolio. Para one day when you do run for something higher, you have something to show for it. But you never forget to pray and seek for guidance because public service is also part destiny. A lot of people are qualified and a lot of people want to serve, but not everybody's given a chance to do so. Especially when you go to higher positions like being senator na 24 lang sila out of 110 million Filipinos. In her case, she became vice president and president, so 1 out of 110 million Filipinos siya. So that's what struck me, na parang do your job, do it well, and you don't forget to ask doon sa itaas kung ano yung plano para sa'yo.
Sabi po nila, experience is the best teacher. Ano yung, how true ito sa inyo po?
It is. I'd like to think na the Rex that you probably will spoke to if you interviewed me 9 years ago before I started my stint as mayor and the Rex now are two very different Rex. You have to remember, in my 9 years here, no, I'll be 9 years by June 30 as city mayor. This is my last run, my last stint, my last, March, April, May, June, 4 months.
4 months.
And a decade in City Hall, in this very office, is a lot of untold stories and told stories. You have to remember, in my time as mayor, the developmental work tuloy-tuloy yun, from building schools, building a math school, a special education school, a housing project. Those are things that come along. Being a Galing Po awardee, the city itself, 7 times is a feat. And those developmental projects, you learn from them. You sometimes make mistakes, it won't fly, but if you come back again, and the mere fact we won 7 Galing Po awards is for those programs is already a feat by itself. We're one of the most awarded Galing cities sa Galing Po. But it's not those experiences lang that shape who I am right now. And who probably, if I do end up somewhere, kung saan man ako dadali ng sapatos ko in the next couple of years, I will always carry with me the scars that I have when the biggest industrial fire that this country has seen happened in my time, yung Kentex fire.
Yes.
Where 74 people died, unfortunately, and I was blamed for it. But in the end, the court said it wasn't really my fault, but rather it was other people's fault. I learned from that. No? Sabi ko nga, I learned firsthand how to talk to families who lost someone waiting for news, whether or not their family members survived the fire or not, kung nakalabas or hindi. Trying to break the story, the news to them in a way that is acceptable, siguro sa kanila. Trying to move forward and trying to move a city who is in mourning forward. I presided over that. So I'm going definitely bringing that experience with me. Diba? Yung malungkot na experience na yun, palagay ko wala naman masyado makakapagkwento ng ganung experience sa inyo kundi isang tao na nakaranas noon. I will also carry with me my experience during COVID. A lot of the city mayors in NCR will forever carry stories or experiences in how you handle a health pandemic that you weren't really prepared for at the start. How to talk to family members who are blaming government for lack of preparation, and how you can sympathize with them when they've lost somebody because of COVID. I've had experiences, and so has the other city mayors in Metro Manila, na ikaw yung tatawag sa telepono para humanap ng hospital at hindi mo nahanapan ng hospital na matay, ikaw rin yung tatawag na hihingi ng pasensya sa nangyari. Being on the ground as local chief executive and even as congressman, you have to remember I was a 2-term congressman. Being with the people directly gives you a lot of human experience that you will carry forever. And the next time it comes along, sana wag naman yung tragic. Meron kang parang alam mo yun, if you like Batman, di ba si Batman meron siyang belt na maraming gadgets. Parang ganun. You keep on filling in life experiences in that belt, and hopefully you don't get to use them again, but if you do, you may panghuhugutan ka na.
Ano naman po ang best legacy nyo as a public servant?
I cannot be the one na mag-explain yan sa'yo, Nini, kasi para ako nagbubuhat ng sarili kong bangko. Diba? I think you might have to do a portion where you ask the people in the streets. But I'd like to think that the legacy that I will leave here as mayor will be a developmental mayor. From coming up with the country's fastest business permit system that you can get your business permit online in 10 seconds, and up to this day, we are the only LG with a full array of permits that you can transact online. Walang may ganyan. Kami end-to-end full array. It didn't happen overnight. It took me 9 years to build it. Developmental siya. Coming up with an public education system that's not perfect but comes close to it, I'd like to think. Wherein we are inclusive, getting everybody involved, from our special children with special needs to our mathematically gifted kids to setting up a new pamantasan. It's not easy kasi I'm not an educator but I had to learn that. From developing a public housing that is anchored on public rental, which is a first of its kind in the country. Developmental, the legacy there is projects don't happen overnight, but these things you see around in Valenzuela took place over 9 years or even more. And it's a collaborative effort of everybody in the city. And you get your hands dirty and you build it. Parang sandcastle. Sometimes you build it, pero dadaan yung alon, mawawala siya. You just have to keep on building and building and building. But the important part is being a hands-on developmental person. Hindi yung mafo-frustrate ka because hindi ka agad natapos, hindi mo na kaagad nakuha yung kailangan.
Without a government post, ano yung mga contribution or ambag nyo sa community, society?
Well, you have to remember, ang government post kasi lets you amplify. Para tong malaking speaker. But as a person, I really believe everybody's ambag is their own personality. Diba? When a regular person gives his seat to an old elderly person in a bus, when you help somebody in an airplane, yung pagtayo niyo lahat tapos yung luggage niya hindi maibaba, ikaw yung magbibitbit. I've had those small experiences even in the private sector. Parang point ganun, kindness and being a decent person, I think, would be may ambag sa buong lipunan natin. It's just that public servants get to amplify that in a platform that is larger than themselves. But everybody's a decent person, I believe, and it's that sense of decency that drives this country forward.
So far, ano po yung favorite achievements mo as a person?
Oh. I'd like to think wala pa kasi I have yet to live portions of my life. Diba? Parang I'm 43 and I'd like to think I'll end up as gray and old, so wala pa. Sa ngayon, siguro, ito, I'm not sure if you have Twitter accounts or if you follow my Facebook. Mababaw man pakinggan to, but Neil, to this day, as a person, not as a mayor,
Yes.
as Rex, my greatest achievement is losing 50 pounds in 6 months. Diba? So, it may sound petty, pero Congressman Kimbo the other day messaged me nga, sabi niya, it shows discipline and a lot of determination. And I'd like to think yung kwento ko sa kanina na hindi susuko applied to that. Waking up at 4:45 in the morning to do exercises, to do cardio, and doing it 2 times pati sa gabi, even when you're dead tired, just because you know that you have to go back to that healthy lifestyle. I went as high as 200 pounds kasi during the pandemic, and now I'm down to 150, sometimes 149, 48. So I'd like to think losing 50 pounds is a feat by itself, but it's not the losing of the 50 pounds that I'm proud of. It's the self-discipline that I taught myself to stay away from fast food, even if I'm the biggest fast food eater there is. To stick to something healthy, even if para ka ng kambing at puro gulay na lang kinakain mo. It's that self-determination and that self-discipline that I'm particularly proud of.
Kailangan ko kong gayahin para pumayat.
Self-control, self-determination, but more than anything, self-discipline.
Paano niyo nababalanse ang oras niyo sa pamilya, kaibigan, and public service?
Wala, I don't. Galit na sa akin lahat ng kaibigan ko kasi lagi akong late. So sabihin ko magkikita kami ng 7 o'clock pero dumadating ako minsan 10, minsan na-hinjan ko pa sila. I don't have weekends. I only get to see my family ng Sunday nights, my parents. I don't have a family of my own because I've thrown everything, every single ounce there is to this endeavor. Because I believe when 98% of the electorate voted you into office, they expect so much from you and I cannot fail them. So I'm as guilty as every single public servant there is. I'm addicted to what I'm doing and I don't balance. Literally 98% is work in government, 2% lang siguro yung leisure time and yung free time. So I can't be your poster boy for work-life balance. I cannot.
Hindi naman po kayo bumabawi sa mga hindi nyo pag-attend or nakakabawi naman kayo somehow?
Hindi talaga. Marami nang galit sa akin na mga kaibigan kasi feeling nila ingenyero ako.
So parang ang naging friends nyo na lang ay yung mga nandito sa...
The beauty about being in public service is akala mo constituents are constituents, but in 15 years of public service, you will end up with friends that you will carry with you after this. Would never have met people randomly if I worked in public service, and sila yung bonus ng journey na to. Na favorite line ko dito sa City Hall is, pag may mga constituent nag-aaway sa harapan ko, like sinasabi sa kanila, alam nyo, matatapos tayo lahat dito, pero sa dulo ng ito, yung pagkakaibigan na yung pagkakakilala natin mananatili yun. And that's the beauty of it. You gain friends along the way.
To be successful like you, ano-ano mga do's and don'ts na pwede nyo may advice sa mga inaanak nyo?
Well, in public service or in life?
In life or in leadership?
Well, like I said, I'm not addressing this to you, but I'm addressing it to everybody who's watching.
Yes.
So sa mga inaanak ko, actually, ang tara ko sa huli, close to 3,000 na ang inaanak sa binyag and close to 2,000 na inaanak sa kasal.
Dami.
Ang do's ko sa buhay is always, meron akong mahilig ako sa mga bylines. There should never be a could've, would've, or should've in life. Meaning, given 1 hour, do it all, bigay mo na yung todo mo, kaysa yung 2 hours later, sasabihin mo, I should have done this, I could have done this, or I shouldn't have done this, or I could have done this. Laging no, shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't. Todo mo na. If you fall flat on your face, hindi ka nagtagumpay, then you pick yourself up and you build it again. So don't ever think that you can cut corners. Todo mo na yun. Do's naman is, I guess, the opposite of that. Just when you think you can't, you really can. So you do give it your best, your utmost self, and your entire soul and your entire being. Itodo mo kung ano yung napili mong gagawin. Because you don't want to end up with should-have, would-haves, and could-haves in the end.
Since nabanggit niyo po yung failure, and now na may cancel culture, paano namin ma-overcome ang bashing and negative side comments?
Kasi yan, I've been a victim of that recently.
Recently lang po ba?
Madalas, pero recently, with my political decisions, I get a lot of canceled concepts or bashing. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to make public political pronouncements or if you can edit this. See, all my life, I made, natutunan ko dito sa City Hall, hindi lahat ng desisyon ay popular at hindi lahat ng popular na desisyon ay tama. Sometimes you make that tough decision as local chief executive. Ang mayor is na administrator. And pag hindi ka administrador, you're bound to fail. Diba? You have to make the yes or the no decisions. It cannot be in the middle. And not all yes decisions gusto ng tao, pero hindi rin lahat ng gusto ng tao ay tama. Sa ngayon, sa dulo, they'll realize it's good for you. So, ako sanay ako doon. Sanay ako na mabash for policy decisions. Pero paninindigan ko yun Tulad ng sinabi ko, kasi decisive ako na tao And I make it a point to listen first before I make a decision to consult. What I'm referring to recently is, alam niyo naman mag-election, di ba? And I have decided to support Bongbong Marcos and Inday Sara Duterte. I'm one of the first siguro na mayors who came out in the open with that. And if you look at my Twitter account, nung ini-invite ko sila parang sa rally dito, dami nang galit sa akin na I got canceled out. Ang theory ko doon, na it's my decision, I have my reasons why, and I think that both of them will do good for the country because of their local experiences. They're very experienced leaders. I like them personally in the sense that I've dealt with them and they're very kind and kind people. So I got a lot of criticism for those decisions. I got cancelled out. Ang sagot ko, stop trying to convince the people who's canceling you out, and if they bash you, sagutin mo na lang ng I love you. It's the easiest conversation stopper there is. And when I did that, I'm happier, I'm less annoyed. Kasi parang natuto ko, ano ba magagawa ko kung gano'n na yung tingin mo sa decision ko, kahit na anong pang-convince ko, hindi tayo magkakasundo. So when I started realizing, sa Twitter account ko, pag sinasabi kong I love you na lang kaysa i-bash pa ako, kaysa pahabahay ko pa yung usap balikan, they end up just not answering. I think that's the best conversation stopper. Shower and smother them with love.
Inspirational message para sa lahat ng inaanak.
Well, sa mga inaanak ko at sa mga magiging inaanak ko pa, palagay ko naman may mga mag-iimbita pa, you don't have to look far for inspirations. Inspirations come in simple actions sa pinakamaliliit na bagay. There's decency in every human being. You just have to look for it. Kasi the moment we get this illusion, yung feeling natin lahat ng tao masasama, paligid natin magulo, then tayo magiging bahagi na tayo ng problema kaysa magiging bahagi tayo ng solusyon. Kanina nga binanggit ko, yung maliliit na bagay na nakikita nyo araw-araw, hindi maliliit na bagay yun, kundi those random acts of kindness ang maging inspirasyon nyo. Hindi nyo kailan humanap ng tao para maging inspirasyon, hindi nyo kailan humanap ng idolo para maging inspirasyon, but rather, yung maliliit na mga bagay na nakikita na ginagawa nyo ng mga magulang nyo, ng mga kapatid nyo, ng mga kaibigan nyo, let those simple, random acts of decency and kindness be your inspiration to becoming a better person.
Ninong Rex being a congressman or being a mayor?
Both are equal, both.
Ninong Rex movie marathon or workout?
Recently, workout, but pwede mong pagsabayin kasi nanonood ako while working out.
Ninong Rex pagiging panganay o pagiging bunso?
Bunso.
Ninong Rex street smart o book smart?
Book smart.
Maraming lessons na quotable quotes na pwedeng i-note, i-print, at ipaskill sa pader mula sa episode na to. Ano ang mga key takeaways nyo sa mga advices and stories ni Ninong Rex? Sa susunod ulit, mag-ingat palagi. Bye!